This week I learned I may never eat again. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as spooky season is rolling along here and has been mostly good up to a certain point. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to begin like usual, guys. We're going to begin with what am I reading? I finished The Deep by Nick Cutter, a book I was very, very excited to read because based off the strength of the first two books I read by the author, I was very excited. The premise of this sounded very much like a book by one of my favorite authors of all time. Did that set expectations too high? I don't necessarily think that's it, but I will say this was a big swing and miss. I mean, this was very, very much a letdown. And I think really I should begin with, this book should be called The Dream, not The Deep, because, oh my God, if you guys have been here for any, amount of time, you probably heard me talk in the past about how I don't like this when you've got your main narrative and then you've got a dream sequence and you've got a flashback and then you got a flashback within that dream sequence. Then you got a, did that actually happen? Oh, it was a vision. Oh, it was a fever dream. This book so much cannot stay on target. It's like, oh my Lord, man, can you focus on one thing? Now, I'll be honest, some of the flashback stuff, like with this missing kid, that stuff was really good. That stuff was kind of heart-wrenching. But every single damn chapter, did that happen? Was that a dream? Wait, was that something that happened in his childhood? I don't know. It took away from what was going on in this space station down in the Mariana Trench. I want to know more of that. And then when it happened, I'm like, did it actually happen? It's very, very frustrating. And the only reason I finished this, guys, was just to stick it out and see if it was worth it, because it was really, really bad in the first half with that. And I can accept some startup. I appreciate the stuff, the back history with his mother, some stuff with like how him and his brother grew up and how it was really not the best of childhoods, how him and his brother didn't have a good relationship. That stuff's fine. But I just feel like this could have been fixed in post. You could have had an editor that said, all right, forget all the jumping around, let's cut the dreams down a little bit. Let's cut the flashbacks down a little bit. Or, let's just kind of put some of those together and make them less, because it's just taking away from the momentum of what's going on in real time. And it just frustrated me to a point where I just didn't care by the end. And that's just very, very annoying. And the thing was, everybody told me that. Everyone that loved the troop just about told me they did not like this one, and I probably wouldn't either. I was hopeful that I was going to be, the exception of one of those who really found my way to liking in both of them. But no, guys, this was a big flop, and I almost DNF'd it twice. That's how much it frustrated me. I just kept thinking, maybe once you get past that, it'll stick the landing, but it did not. It did not, and that's very, very frustrating. Now, again, Nick Cutter, 2 out of 3 for me, so I will try him again in the future. But this was it was kind of heartbreaking because I've had this on my shelf for like 3 years now. I've been very excited after I read The Troop, and it just let me down. It let me down big time, and that is just a bit disheartening. When you read one of your early spooky season books that you're very, very excited about, that you've been putting off all year because you want to make sure you got to it in spooky season, and then you get to it. It's a big letdown. Thankfully, this hasn't been a letdown. Now, I'm going to tell you guys up front, I'm not going to give you guys weekly updates on this. I think at this point, about, I don't know, 300-ish pages into it, it's still not even the halfway point. Instead of giving you guys a weekly things about this, I'm just going to wait and save that for the actual review that I'm hoping to get out on release day. I'm going on a vacation soon. We'll talk about that in a minute, and I'm going to be taking this with me, and hopefully it'll fit my luggage, and I won't have to check it. But it's something I'm going to be working on there, so I'll have a little extra time coming up to get through this. But I'll talk about my thoughts on it in full when I do the review here, close to release day. But I just want to let you know, because I know every week I'll have someone be like, whoa, what's going on with King Sorrow? Look, yes, I'm liking it. It's very good. He's developing his characters very well. No, it's not like it. That was a very, very lazy comparison because of who his father was. Yes, you have very young kids, and you're going through the years with them. Outside of it having a group of young friends, it's nothing like it. It's not like anything I can think that I've read before, because you've never really seen him wrap horror fantasy into something with a dragon like this. But it's unique, but it does take its time. He's definitely taking a slow burn, getting you used to all these characters. And I'd say one of my early criticisms was like, okay, you're really focusing on Arthur and somewhat Gwen. You're not really focusing very much on these other characters. But once you get into part 2, it starts to get into some of those other characters. So I feel like that's why this book is so long, because he's going to get into them in sections and waves instead of just doing all 5 or 6 of these main friends all together like his dad did with It. So again, if you go into this expecting It, you're going to be disappointed because it's not It. But if you are just a Joe Hill fan and you don't mind a slow burn into some horror fantasy, I think you're going to dig what you're getting into. That's what I could say at about the 30-ish% mark. I don't know how far that is. I don't know. I only work in finance. How would I do anything with numbers? But that's why I won't be updating this again outside to let you guys know that I finished it until I do the review. So just so you guys aren't asking me that next weekly update, that's why I won't be talking about it there. But that's all I have for what I'm reading. How about what am I going to read? Now, I picked this up last night and was going to start it, and I said, let's just start fresh, here after some of the football games end today, and that'll be what I plan to do here. This one, I'm getting some Stephen King Dreamcatcher vibes from it, and I don't know if that's just because it's a cabin in the woods and there's a dream catcher on the side. I don't know. Out here in the wilderness, out here in the snow, I don't think it's going to be quite like that. It's just hard for me to differentiate that when I see a dream catcher and I see a little house in the snowy fields. That's what it makes me think of immediately is dream catcher. And I did just talk about dream catcher in that tier list that I just did. But with this, I've heard so many mixed things. A lot of people say it's really, really great. I think one reaction I heard a lot recently was like it was so close to being a great book. And what I think that means is just like it didn't stick the landing. In horror, it's so hard to stick the landing for everybody, an ending that's going to please everybody, I think. But I don't know. We'll see how it does go. But I'm excited about it, even though my Reddit red flag is going off. What is that, you ask? With me, it seems like every time something is a Reddit darling, it doesn't go the way that I hope it will go. But with this, I think this was actually like part of a contest, like a Reddit contest, a horror contest, where Felix Blackwell won this contest and actually got this book published and is getting a movie made out of it now. But we'll see where I go with it. It looks pretty short. I mean, that's some pretty big font in there. It's only 300 pages, so I don't imagine this will take me too terribly long. But it just depends on how things do go with it. But I'm very excited to do it because that's one I've been hearing about for a couple years now. And it's about time. It is about time. And that's what Spooky Season's all about, getting some of these horror books off the list I've been putting off for a while. How about some stuff I've been putting off for a while? How about this week on the channel? I did do my Stephen King tier list number 4. Now, I wasn't necessarily putting this off. It's just I had to reread some of these books. And if you watch that video, I talk in there about like in my memory it was this. And now when I read it was this. That's why it's important to me to reread a lot of these books that I read either on release day or when I was a teenager. You're going to look at them differently now. And also some things like Dreamcatcher can be different in your memory than they were upon a revisit. So I think it was important for me to take the time to reread these books. I know it was a long wait. I never meant for it to be 3 years, guys. It's just, you get review copies, you get FOMO, you get so much stuff from publishers that you want to read, so many new series and read-alongs you want to join. And I just got distracted. And I was like, I don't really have time to do rereads right now. So I put a lot of those off. But I will try not to make it such a long wait for the next one. I said it's probably going to be at least a year, I would imagine, because there are several things that I either need to read for the first time or reread. But the tier list after that, yes, we are going, I think 7 total is what I have planned right now. Tier list number 6, I've read everything on there except 2 of them, and I've read them recently. So it'll get to the point where these come out pretty quick in succession because I've read most of the new stuff except the Holly stuff I haven't read, and I don't know when I'm going to, probably when I do those tier lists. But 6 and 7 will follow really closely after. So this will be the last long wait for those if you guys are still in on the Stephen King tier list journey. So again, my apologies about the wait. I hope that it lived up to the anticipation for it. I don't know, lots of comments about people being like excited, but then they're also just like, yeah, this was kind of a mid-tier for King. And you could see in that I did kind of have stuff in the middle section a lot with this. It was just kind of this arc of his career right after his accident and finishing the run-up to the finish of The Dark Tower. There was some stuff that, maybe what his best work, but there are still really good times to come, and I'm excited because there's some bangers that'll be in tier list number 5. So I hope you guys will stick around until then. They don't kick me off this platform for something. Who knows? They'll find a way, right? I also did my book haul for September. Always a pleasure to say thank you to those who took the time out of their life, took the money out of their bank account to send me something, or just the thought, just send me a letter, something to say, hey, I appreciate everything more than you can imagine, because to me it feels great just to know that someone's listening, someone wants to talk back, and you're in their thoughts in a positive way. That's really awesome. I mean, I hope that I can leave a positive influence on a lot of people. That's what I try to angle for here. So I try not to do too much negativity on the channel because there's enough of that on the internet. And so I try to, build some positivity. And hopefully that is what you are taking away from this community. And if you feel the need to send something my way, even if it's just, you want me to show off your book or something like that, I appreciate it. I really do. And I'm happy I can help you out. I really am. Just so thankful what you guys do send me and all of the wonderful stuff the publisher's sending me. Even it's getting to the crunch now where I'm like, I don't have time to read a lot of these things that I really, really want to read like right now. Not someday, like right now. That's the review copies. But hey, that is really, really complaining about having too much money, I do think. Over on Mike's Media Reviews, we continued our spooky season reviews. We did one for Caddo Lake. We got one for Weapons coming out tomorrow. And we also did one, we recorded one for Heretic, the Hugh Grant A24 movie, which I liked quite a bit. And I kind of gave you my solo reviews on those last week, but this will be our discussions, me and my wife, talking about where these movies kind of rank on everything we've been watching for spooky season so far. So hop on over there if you are interested in any of those. I know a lot of people have been interested to hear my thoughts on Weapons, the new hotness, I'm calling it, of horror, where everybody is just talking about it so much. Did it meet those expectations? Well, you guys can find out when you hopefully check out Mike's Media Reviews. How about some next week plans, guys? I did kind of talk about this earlier. We are going out of town, family vacation here in the fall, and it is very much needed to recharge some batteries, get some family bonding time. We didn't really take one over the summer this year because me and my wife were on our anniversary, so we wanted to take a family one later in the fall, and that's what we will be doing here. So I don't know how much I'm going to get done before I go, because you guys know what it's like when you are on kind of your run up to vacation, and you're like, how am I going to get everything done before I go? That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm already kind of looking at the schedule and be like, God, I got something going on like almost every night this week. When am I going to get this, and this done? Plus work, So it's the run up to the vacation usually leaves you exhausted just in time for your vacation. And then when you get back from vacation, you need a vacation from your vacation. Do you think I can say vacation that many times in a row without stuttering? I'm quite amazed myself. But I do plan to get some kind of horror content out there for next week. Kind of still noodling what that's going to be. I got a couple of ideas. I'm just still kind of deciding between the two. I am going to be having that Author's Corner that I talked about I talked about my wrap-up, an Author's Corner I'm having with some authors. I got some big releases coming out in November. I don't know. We are going to be recording that, but it's not going to be live because it's just there's too many moving parts, guys, and 2 people in Australia. And I don't want to mess that up. I don't want it to be suffered through technical difficulties. So we're going to be recording that, and I'll be releasing it later. I don't know if that's going to happen in this month or if that's going to happen in November. I'll tell you what's going on is me and ℓ𝕬𝕣𝕠𝕜 were supposed to get together and talk this month. That was going to kind of be my author interview or my talk about nothing for October. But he's kind of left me on red on Instagram the last couple messages. So I'm not knowing. I don't understand if we're gonna talk or not. I don't know if we're just not communicating the same way or he's just changed his mind. I don't know. So you guys know ℓ𝕬𝕠𝕜, hit him up and be like, yo, are you still going on Mike's channel? I don't know. So that's still up in the air if that's going to happen or not. So it's just kind of got my schedule kind of up in the air at the moment, but we'll just see. We'll see what happens, and hopefully I have some content for you guys while we are abroad. That's all I got for the books this week, guys. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things before I go. I kind of want to talk about the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms trailer that did come out. New HBO series set in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. This is very exciting for me. Look, I know a lot of people are exhausted with House of the Dragon. My only problem with House of the Dragon is 3 years between seasons. That's frustrating, annoying, all the above. So I think what HBO is trying to do is give us shorter limited series between the wait of those. Because like they talked about season 1 here, of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is going to be adapting The Hedge Knight, which is a novella by George. And it's very much about Duncan the Tall and Egg. And I don't want to tell you who Egg is in case you haven't read it. You don't want to be spoiled. But the thing with this was it had people already being like, oh, wait, so we got season 2 in like 2029. I think they said they're going to be recording season 2 and 3 of this back together, which will be adapting to Storm Sword and Mystery Knight. So all 3 of these are done. So there's that already. George finished these. These are done. And I think they said they're going to be recording seasons 2 and 3 back to back. And you kind of have to when you got a kid actor because they're going to age too quick. You're going to run into that Stranger Things problem, which, by the way, I'm excited for Stranger Things 5, but all I see is just people being negative about how long it's taken and how old they look. Yeah, it's a legit complaint, but it doesn't make me less excited for it. But with this, yeah, the long wait between seasons of House of Dragon is very annoying. So I think what they're going to do is like House of Dragon, season 1 and 2, and then you're going to have the Hedge Knight here. Then you're going to have House of Dragon season 3. Then you'll have season 2 and 3 of Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, then maybe House of Dragon Season 4, or maybe they'll give us Aegon the Conqueror. I don't know. So I think what they're trying to do is they're going to have one series per year of the World of Ice and Fire. And I'm okay with that. I mean, for me, it's like, there's still really, really great stuff they can adapt. It's when they start getting into the fan fiction that I'm not like, I don't really want that. But George was on the panel for this and said, what you're going to see on screen is very close to what I wrote. And obviously that's very exciting, because if you haven't read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I do recommend that you do. All three of those stories are available in a collection now. Now, I'm be honest, I haven't read those since like 2006 or 7. Whenever the last one came out, I think it might have been 2010 or so. I don't know. I don't remember. The time's it's just all kind of crushing together at this age. But I might have to reread these, honestly. I remember liking them a lot. Obviously, I like everything within this world. But that's one that I don't have really, really fresh memories of, except the fact that I liked it a lot. And I'm pretty sure it's going to make a great adaptation. And it's not going to be as hard for them to make, because, guys, this is during the time when there's no dragons in Westeros. The dragons are all thought to be dead. So there is no real post-production problems like they have with House of Dragon, where it's like, hey, they recorded it, now it's going to take us 2 years to add all the CGI into it. This should be a lot easier, lower budget. It's much more focused on the politics and the workings of the caste system and things like that. It's going to have the same old kind of house politics that you guys have come to know and love about the series Game of Thrones, but it's not going to be some action-packed dragon fest like House of Dragon is going to give you. So I think you can record these faster. So I'm optimistic for them, but I know that there are some people who complained when Game of Thrones got too much action-packed, and then House of Dragon, they complained that there's not enough action. I think this will fall more towards House of Dragon, where you're going to say there's just not enough action, because there is no big spectacle. It is a very ground-level story. It is a very personal story about Sir Duncan and, of course, Egg. So I don't know if that's going to give everybody what they want, but if you're a big-time Song of Ice and Fire diehard like myself, of course you're going to love it. And that comes out in January. And I'll be very, very excited to see it, because more Ice and Fire in my life, the better. We did watch a couple of more of our spooky season movies. We watched Ready or Not, and we watched The Substance. Now, I'll say briefly about Ready or Not. It was fun. It was very much a dark horror comedy, I think you would say, because it had a lot of laughs in it, but it still was very much a, hey, they're hunting this person down. It kind of made me think when I watched a trailer of the book by Cornell, The Most Dangerous Game, and it is very much a hat tip to that, with a little bit of things added into it, a little bit more humor, because that is a short story from like the 1920s, but it's a great story. If you guys haven't read it, please do. It's really, really awesome. It's been the influence for every one of these, hey, there's one person and humans are hunting them down like animals. That's just kind of like, that's the linchpin for, that's what started it all, and I highly recommend it. So I got a lot of that out of the movie. But it was fun. It was very enjoyable, but did not go exactly the way that I planned. But it was like, imagine if that movie You're Next was actually good. That's what I told my wife, because You're Next was a big old letdown. Everybody, oh, the movie's amazing, and I watched. I was like, that's crap, man. It's crap. Anyway, horror movies kind of go one way or the other. But Ready or Not, very fun. If the sequel coming out is not called Ready or Not, Here I Come, they're doing it wrong. That's all I'll say. Very, very good movie. I had a good time with it. If you're not taking it too seriously, you'll probably have a fun time with it as well. But yeah, fun. And lastly, we did watch The Substance last night. And like I said, we'll talk about this more on Mike's Media Reviews. But this might be the grossest, most disgusting movie I've ever seen. I honestly, guys, and that's not to say it's not good. It's an excellent movie. It's excellent. Amazing performances. It really did. I mean, Demi was just amazing. I mean, Demi's been great forever. I mean, I don't think Demi's ever been bad. She was really, really great in this. But, oh my God, I didn't think there was a movie that could make me feel nauseous. Like, I've watched disgusting movies, man. Is this grosser than Saw? This is grosser than Hostel? This is grosser than the old Trauma movies, like the original Toxic Avenger and things like that, Nuke 'Em High. It is disgusting, guys. It will make you hold your hand up in front of the screen. It'll make you turn your eyes, because it's just disgusting. I think it's doing, obviously it's doing some social commentary, but I think it kind of leaves it open for you to decide, because it is not ever, to me, feel like it's a preaching at you kind of movie, like a lot of Hollywood movies do now. It very much is like, hey, here's something you might want to think about before you start cramming the Ozempic down your face. You know, I think there are very much messages like that, or unreal expectations for, actors and actresses. Just how disgusting this movie was. I mean, it was just so many times the sounds were just like, oh, I've never eaten chicken again. I'm just going to say that. If you know, you know. So I highly recommend the movie, but man, I've got pretty much an iron stomach, and it made me be like, a couple of times. So you've been warned if you haven't seen it, but we'll talk about it more over on Mike's Movie Reviews. But yeah, great performances. And I think Demi got actually nominated for an Oscar for this. So yeah, she was great. But it's nothing about the movie being bad. The last 10 minutes is a little ridiculous, but again, I think you can kind of get to a point where you're like, okay, is this actually happening or not? But I don't know. We'll talk about that, like I said, on Mike's Movie Reviews. But yeah, very good movie. But man, make sure you're not eating anything while you watch it, because you'll be like me. You're going to be going on a place where you're going to have all of this exotic food coming up, and you're not going to want to eat any of it because you still feel a little nauseous because you watch the substance. Guys, that was my week. It was a very, very interesting week, but I'd love to know what your week has been like. What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you playing? Why don't you go ahead and drop in the comments down below, and I will talk to you later.